Javier is a god. I don't know how he has 2 point something stars on Colombian Air Tasker, but he went above and beyond to help a girl in need. Anyway, oh yeah, the movie was pretty good. From the same minds of Searching, here we have Missing, another screen life mystery thriller, this time about a girl who finds out that her mother has disappeared during a vacation in Colombia with a new boyfriend. Desperate for answers, she makes use of the latest technology to find her before it's too late, but she ends up uncovering more questions than answers. And wow, this movie took me on a journey. An emotional one for one, and a very thrilling and chilling one for another. Now, if you haven't watched Searching or this movie and you really like mystery thrillers, then I really recommend these two movies. This movie is basically kind of like a sequel to Searching, which is the first movie, very similar to this one that came out back in 2018. Now, Searching, for some odd reason, I remember myself back when I first watched it in theaters not really liking it too much, or at least I remember not liking it as much. But when I rewatched it just recently, I feel kind of differently. Now I think that was a really solid movie, highly emotional, great believable acting, a lot of interesting twists and turns. So that made me more excited for this movie. Unfortunately though, I wasn't able to be one of the very first people to watch this movie a few weeks ago. In my country, we had this one night only advanced preview screening a couple of weeks ago, and I just couldn't be bothered watching it because I thought that this movie, it wasn't one of those movies that I was very highly anticipating and or thought that it was going to be very good. Man, I wish I rewatched Searching sooner, and I wish I went to that advanced screening, because this movie certainly did not disappoint in my eyes. Towards the beginning, I was comparing it to Searching in a way, and I was like to myself, it doesn't start as strongly or emotionally, but then as time went on, it just got better and better and better. More thrilling and more what the fuck, oh my god. Though I can definitely see how this is one of those movies where, similar to the first, like the way it goes can make or break the movie for some people. So I do feel like this is one of the major flaws of this type of movie. But maybe that's just the case with basically almost all mystery thrillers. See, throughout the last couple of years, since I started reviewing movies, I've started to become more of a critic, So I think much more critically than before, and I feel like a lot of the times in a lot of films, I can see like a different direction it could go to ultimately make them like a better movie. If you know me, you know that I've said this so many times during so many of my reviews. Direction. For this movie, I really didn't have much of those thoughts. Yes, maybe it could have been better with the direction of the story, but I was pretty satisfied with the overall occurrence of events. The thing I like a lot about this movie is how early on the movie really tries to paint a picture or like scenarios in our head of like what happens, making it seem as though something of the like was happening or was going to happen, but then the climax just goes a completely different way. I was even thinking about this during the movie, that it's going to go in a completely different way and shock you, and it does. For example, at one point I thought this guy was going to be the main antagonist, but then it just switches up completely, so dramatically, and I honestly doubt any of you would have guessed what, especially if you've already seen Searching. Like, I feel like it'll blow most people's minds. And I always thought it was pretty unique and interesting to have this screen life kind of movie where we just see technology in play and that's it. Sometimes it almost felt like a found footage horror movie in a way, which really added to the thrill of the movie a lot more. But with the technology part, while it does show the flaws in current everyday technology and that's a scary reality, some instances still feel a little bit too far-fetched or easy, one might say. A bit similar to the first movie, some instances, not just tech-wise, leave you, scratching your head, like being like, really? Like sometimes I'm like, would that actually work in real life? I mean, some things that happen are just a little bit too far-fetched. I mean, it is just a movie, right? It's just a movie, but I guess that's why these movies are so good because, they just feel so real that like some things that happen that are like that just break immersion in a way. Ultimately, Missing is a fantastic mystery thriller and one that really puts the emphasis on both mystery and thriller. Sometimes it was pretty suspenseful and thrilling, and a lot of the times you really have no idea what to expect, and I had a really fun time with this one. Which one is better though? And you guys let me know as well what you think is better. Searching or Missing? I feel like the majority of people will say Missing just because it's the next movie and, they learned from their mistakes or whatever and just added more things to it, which in essence is what I felt they did with this movie. I really like the cinematography and some of the situations that they get themselves into in this movie, like a lot more than the first movie, I would say. However, I still, for some reason, feel like the first film was more emotional. I don't know why. Even then, this movie was still pretty emotional, and I liked how they incorporated a lot of the characters' lives and stories in here, so you feel more for the characters overall. I know that's what made me like Searching so much, and it's the same case here. Also, sorry for the change in voice, I accidentally left this out when I was recording it initially. I mean, this is what I felt as soon as I exited the theater for the first time. This film does do a lot of aspects better than the first, but the first film also does do some other aspects better. So I guess it's kind of neck and neck, and they're very similar, very 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 similar movies. But this movie I just felt was a little bit more fast paced and offered a lot more for its runtime and had a lot more thrilling elements. There was a lot going on. It felt like there was a lot into it, and that's a good thing. Whereas in the first one, sometimes like scenes felt like a bit of a drag because it was just a lot of searching. Search for information. A lot of information that's kind of like put onto the viewer. So some scenes felt a bit of a drag, but you don't really get too much of that in this new movie, Missing. A little bit sometimes, but for the most part, I mean, stuff was happening pretty frequently, and I wasn't really feeling like wanting to look at my phone, basically, which is a good sign. I don't know. I mean, while rewatching Searching just recently, I was sometimes looking at my phone. But maybe that's because I wasn't in a theater and like the lights didn't dim out or anything. And I had the availability of my computer there just to look at anything. So maybe that's the case too, but whatever. I'm going to give Missing a B+. If there's a third movie, which I'm not going to confirm if it's happening or not. I just saw some news article that mentioned, a third movie would be nice. I think it would be pretty cool because I saw something and I'm thinking as well, like this movie actually relates a lot to Searching as well, which is pretty cool, I was looking at some article about that earlier. So I definitely do hope they expand on this universe. Like it's a pretty unique way of storytelling, I think. And while it's not the best, definitely, I'm not saying these movies, there's a reason why I think I rated the Searching a B, so a pretty decent score. Just recently I'm thinking of bumping that up to B+, so both of these are like a B+. But the reason why it's not an A grade or anything, even though it's pretty damn good, is because this style of storytelling still doesn't match, like the big guns. Like it's not really, I don't know, just I don't know how to explain it. Basically, it's good, but there's a limit in terms of the amount of things you can do with this. There's a limit. It's like capped, So I feel like they can't do too much, but they could only work with what they have, which is decent, but Definitely not the best, one of the best movies you ever see, maybe even mystery thriller wise, but still pretty damn good. So guys, let me know what you think down below. Like and sub if you enjoyed, and as always, feel free to check out any of my previous videos. Until next time.